I'm going to call to order the Columbia Heights Public Schools Independent School District 13 School Board meeting for October 28th, 2025. For our first item here, if we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, if available. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Ms. Petway, can you call the roll call, please?
Absolutely. Hool. Here. Petway here. Palmer.
Here.
Medeiros.
Here.
Granlund. Anwar. Rude. Superintendent Stenbeck.
Here. Thank you. Next up is our mission statement. We are creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. And our core values are community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation. And we are delighted this evening to actually have a Highlander highlight. So I would like to welcome Christian up to give us an update from the Heights Herald, the Heights News Network, and the Minnesota State Journalism Awards for 2025. Welcome.
Thank you.
Can you give us?
I'm sorry. You can...
Yeah, go right ahead. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Christian Pena, and I am the sports editor for the Heights Herald. I've been in the business for 2 years, and I'm currently a sophomore. So basically, at the Minnesota State Journalism Awards, people are recognized for their, dedication and, how they actually present news in a way that not only brings out the truth, but also pushes student voices out there. And, we are glad to say that the Highlander News Network has gotten all-state gold in the 2025 Minnesota State Journalism Award conferences. And also the Teen Voice podcast, which is part of the Heights Herald, has gotten all-state gold. But there's also the Heights Herald website itself getting all-state bronze. The newspaper editorial cartoon got second place, and photojournalism illustration got first place in this award ceremony.
Oh, congratulations. That is just amazing. I'm so proud of all the hard work. Every year, the dedication and the professionalism from our news associations over at the high school, and it's truly inspiring. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just dump it, but I'm always so excited. Would you like to say something?
I just have a question.
Yeah, no.
How many schools participated? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of schools, but I'd say somewhere around, I think it's all the schools in the Minneapolis or Minnesota area. Not Minnesota, but like in the district area that actually does this. And it's actually really cool because you see a lot of faces. So I know St. Paul Summit was one of them. I don't think Fridley showed up, but
Well, maybe they didn't have a
Maybe.
gold award.
I think that's what it is. But yeah, so a lot of schools come. I'd say somewhere around 10 to 12, but I'm not sure.
Well, congratulations. This is amazing.
Isn't it?
Thank you.
Anybody else have any? Okay, Jessica.
Thanks for being here to share the great work of yourself and all of your fellow
course.
students. Congratulations.
Of course, yeah.
And maybe I'll just help you with promotion for your next issue, because it's my understanding that you're working on layout now for your next issue.
Yeah, so we had layout yesterday, layouts again tomorrow. So
Great.
we are currently working on it. I'm just trying to get pictures for sports right now for sports wrap up, but we all have to pull apart, so.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much. Now, we would actually love to get a picture and show off some of these awards and stuff. So we're going to meet over here by the flag, and all the board members can also join. We each get to hold one, which is very exciting.
All the awards.
Yes, we do, yeah.
I'll take one.
Oh, you need us up here. So efficient.
Thank you. And you're definitely welcome to stay for the entire board meeting, but if you walk out, we don't mind at all, or we don't, yeah. So, just letting you know. Okay, next up is the agenda approval, adjustments and announcements. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Julie, and second?
Second.
Thank you, Jessica. All right, any discussion? I don't think there is any discussion for this, but we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Next up is our announcements. October 31st, there will be no school this year. November 10th, also, there will be no school. The 11th, at 4:45, will be a subcommittee on policy in the superintendent conference room. Also on the 11th at 5 p.m., there'll be a subcommittee on community engagement here in the community room. On November 11th at 6 p.m. will be a regular school board meeting here in the community room. And on November 18th at 5:30, there'll be a school board work session here in the community room. Okay, next up is communication to the board. Citizens and employee representatives can come here and speak to the school board. At this time, any citizen or employee may briefly address the school board. The board will listen to the brief remarks, ask clarifying questions, and, if desired, request that the administration follow up. The board will not take action at this meeting on requests presented at this time, and time will be limited to 3 minutes. And we do have one individual that would like to speak to the board. All right, thank you. We just had an employee, union representative, to give us an update on, some concerns regarding class sizes, special ed, English learners, and several other different concerns. And we appreciate the update. Thank you. Okay, next up is the consent agenda, which includes the personnel report, the treasurer's report from August of 2025, minutes from October 14th and 21st. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Michelle. And second?
Second.
Thank you, Jessica. All right, any discussion, question? No? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next up is discussion, reports, and information items. So at this point, members of the board will report on board activities since the last board meeting. So Michelle, would you like to start?
Absolutely. Just a couple short things. I attended last week's work session, and I attended Truck or Treat this past weekend and got to enjoy a lot of our kiddos enjoying candy and games at our table with some Highland teachers, which was a lot of fun. And it wasn't that cold this year, so it was a lot more fun than it usually is. But that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Julie?
Yeah, I attended the work session last week and the alumni dinner, which was a lot of fun. The auction for pies and desserts was off the charts, and so totally fun. Enjoyed meeting some of our alum, and just seeing the support for our schools is amazing. So just wanted to mention that and just say I really appreciate our alumni.
Okay, and next our birthday girl, sorry. Oh, excuse me,
Thank you
yes,
so
Jessica, happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much. But in addition to it being my birthday, I've been involved in some other things around the district. I, like all of you, attended the school board work session. I was also able to attend, just with my family, the city spooktacular at Cardiac Park. And I mentioned that because I heard at the city council meeting that they estimate that there were 850 people that came to that event. And so that was really great to see so many people out in our community, just right across from our schools here. I also was able to attend Truck or Treat and help out at the table. I want to thank ECFE for donating the games. They were very popular. The fishing game, especially, the magnetic fishing game. The kids couldn't get enough of it. My own toddler was there, like, camped out for most of the event trying to hook
Surprised
fish.
he left.
And then it's also conference season across the district, and so there's been a lot of activity at our schools around conferences and at Columbia Academy. In addition to conferences, they had the book fair adjacent to that, and so I had the opportunity to volunteer at the book fair 3 different days and be able to talk to kiddos about like what kind of books they were into and what they like to read, and talk to families at conferences about what sorts of reading they were doing together as a family, so that was really fun. We also held a bake sale at Columbia Academy to support growing the PTO there, so I helped out with that. I was also able to attend the Alumni Foundation dinner, which was, as previously mentioned, a great event. And then I was also notified that I was elected the alternate to Delegate Assembly in December for MSBA. And then I also attended the city council meeting yesterday evening in my role as the board liaison, and gave them some updates about the district and all of the activities and things we have going on. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I guess that's me now. I attended the work study session last week, the board meeting just prior to this, and, excuse me, the superintendent, the chair meeting just prior to this. I think that's pretty much it for me. And Superintendent Stenbeck, you have a report for us as well?
Thank you, Vice Chair Palmer. Just very briefly, because a lot of the events have already been mentioned, for the last 2 days, all of the administrators in the district have spent in this room being trained on the new teacher development and evaluation system called 5D+. This month, we dug into the dimensions. There's, it's 5D+, so it's 5+1. Anyway, we dug into the dimensions of purpose and assessment for student learning. And what I've found really impressive about the new tool is that it requires administrators to take a strengths-based approach when observing and giving that feedback. And I know it is, anytime we're changing a system, it's a heavy lift and changes can be challenging, but I do really appreciate the thoughtfulness that went into the last 2 days of training. Lots of good discussions and learning. That's my report.
Thank you. All right, so now we are here next up with our, an information about our community survey, and that should be Director Hennekins and Don Lifto from Morris Leatherman. Or Morris Leatherman also? Is that a company or?
Morris Leatherman Company, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Vice Chair Palmer, members of the board, and Superintendent Stenbeck. Give me a second to pull this up. Okay. So this evening, we have Don Lifto here with me. We're going to talk about the community survey and the results that just recently went out. And just want to give all the time to Don so he can go through the survey and talk about the results. So I'll just kind of turn it over to him.
Right here?
Yep.
Well, thank you, Brian. It's great to be back here. I think this is my 7th survey I've done in Columbia Heights over the last 15 years or so. So it's good to be back again. I'm going to be running through PowerPoint that will give you a a summary of the survey that was just completed, and hopefully it'll be clear and helpful, but please let me know if you want me to elaborate on something or respond to a question. This particular survey had a random sample of 350 registered voters living within the boundaries of the school district. The interviews were completed between October 2 and October 11. Note that the federal shutdown started October 1. So it was in the middle of that. There were 38 questions. The average time on the phone was 11 minutes. We try to keep the time on the phone under 15 if we're able to. And the margin of error is plus or minus 5.2%. Now, as I go through the slides and you see percentages, if you see that 50% of the people thought the sky was blue, if you add 5.2 to that and subtract 5.2, that is your margin of error. So roughly, if you rounded it off, 45 to 55. And what that means is that there's a 95% chance that the opinion of all registered voters are within that range. The interviews were done with demographic targets, and what that means is before we started the phone interviews, we looked to see how many women there were as compared to men, how many people lived in this ward versus that ward, how many were 18 to 24 versus over 65, and those demographic targets were put in as controls. The reason that's done is we interviewed 350 people, but the demographic makeup of those 350 are basically a mirror image of all registered voters as it relates to those targets. In this particular survey, all of the targets were within 3% of actual. So if 55% of the registered voters were women, then about 55% of the phone interviews were with women. And the same with the other demographic targets, which you can see at the top of this particular slide. We did track cell phone use and home ownership, but they were not controls for the sample that were interviewed. The purpose of the survey was to focus on a potential increase in the district's operating levy and the impact that would have or not have on school programs and the related tax impacts associated with a potential increase. So early in the survey, people heard the statement that you see on the screen right now. It's giving a little bit of historical information about your last operating levy and how that revenue from that operating levy contributes to the overall $76 million budget for the district. And people are told that in order to fund needed programs and provide students with their significant needs, avoid budget cuts, that the district might ask for an increase in that operating levy in 2026. So it ends with the statement, based on what you know now, would you favor or oppose such a proposal? And here's what it looked like coming right out of the chute with this potential in this increase in the operating levy. 71% support is higher than what we normally see at this point in a survey. So that's a very solid place to begin. And you can see the opposition at 20%. 8%, and the no opinion at 9%. Participants were given statements about 2 potential decreases in funding that the school district might be facing based upon legislative actions in the next session. First one was compensatory revenue. As you can see, that provides about $9 million a year to the district. Talks about how that money is used. New legislation could result in Columbia Heights losing approximately $4 million of that revenue. And based on what you know now, would you support or oppose a tax increase to make up for that reduction? And you can see this is almost identical to the initial slide with 21% opposing, 70% supporting. The second one that was talked about in the survey was Minnesota Legislative Task Force related to special education. And in this case, Columbia Heights could lose up to $2.4 million per year in special education funding. Again, similar to the previous question, people were asked if you, based on what you know now, would you support or oppose a tax increase to make up for this reduction? Here you can see it bumped up a little bit stronger. So introducing special education into the mix resulted in a more positive response. The opposition dropped about 3%, and the no opinion also dropped a little bit. So both of those potential losses in revenue resonated well with the people we interviewed. Participants were asked to react to a series of statements about a potential increase in the operating levy. And these were done in random order to minimize the possibility that if something was first on the list or last or in the middle, that had an effect on how people responded. For each of these statements, please tell me whether the information would make you much more likely, somewhat more likely, somewhat less likely, or much less likely to support an increase in the operating levy. And here are the 7 areas that were tested in this section. Remember that these were done in random order, and the actual questions in most cases are longer than what you see on the slide. As you look at the numbers starting at the top, the 88% is adding together those people who said that would make me much more likely and somewhat more likely. So it's the 2 positive responses. The 7% that you see next to the 86 is adding together the percentage of people who said knowing that would make me somewhat less likely or much less likely. So those are the negative responses. And then over on the right, you're seeing the no difference. All of these did very well. So as the survey was designed, the administration identified areas that were meaningful to people. And even the one at the bottom, you got 74% responding positively. So this is certainly very positive. After going through all of those individually, we came back and said, now that you've gotten a little more information about the potential to raise property taxes to increase the annual operating levy funding, would you favor or oppose? So remember now, this is after they've heard the additional information, and the favorable jumped up to 79.3. The bottom of this slide, where it says that difference is statistically significant, if something is statistically significant, it means that the difference is real and not just based on the numbers that might go up or down depending on how people react. So it's a significant improvement, and it's significant for your planning purposes. This next section of the survey is kind of peeling the onion back and looking at how different demographic groups responded. And you see the 8 demographic groups that we're talking about here. Remember, in my opening remarks, I told you that the demographic makeup of the sample was a mirror image of the demographic makeup of all registered voters. And the chart is showing the level of support after people heard those 7 additional pieces of information. So the first one is parent status. The parent, kind of jumps off the page at 96.9. We always have strongest support from parents. We don't normally have support at that percentage, so that's a very good response. Alumni parent are people who told us, I don't have any kids in the Columbia Heights schools now, but I used to have kids. And then the non-parent are people who told us, I've never had a child in the school district. So while the parent response kind of jumps off the page, note that the other 2 are very solid also. On the left, you're seeing support based on gender. We typically see female support anywhere from 5 to 10% higher than male support. In this particular case, they essentially are identical, which is good. On the right, you're seeing support based on how old I am. Generally speaking, we get the strongest support from the youngest demographic groups. And so yours goes down left to right, just like it pretty much always does. But again, even if you look at the 65 plus, that's a very positive response. On the left, you're seeing support based on where I live geographically. Note that they are very, very similar. More commonly, we will see results where there might be anywhere from 5 to 15% difference from one geographic area to another. So in your case, it's quite flat, and in this case, flat is good. And then on the right, you're seeing support based on past voting history. Past voting history, we look at the registered voter file and look at the last 10 elections where people had a chance to vote. Now that might be for dog catcher, it might be for city council, it might be for a referendum. Any reason to vote, the last 10 chances you had to vote. Less active or new are people who are in their records voted 0 to 2 out of the last 9. In the middle, it's 3 to 5 times out of the last 9, and over on the right, 6 or more out of the last 9. We pay attention to this, particularly as it relates to the potential timing of an election. Very active voters always disproportionately are in the ballot box. They vote 6 or more times out of 9. People who are new or less active voters at 0 to 2, they don't get in the ballot box as much. unless there's something of high interest that's drawing them to the ballot box, like a presidential election, for example. All of yours are in the strong category, even though there are some small differences. On the left here, you're looking at support based on household income. The most common finding that we see in surveys is somewhat higher support based on somewhat higher levels of income. That's not the results that you're seeing in this particular survey, where the strong support came from the low to mid income, as well as the 75 to 100,000 income. Again, not a typical response, but relatively flat. And then on the right, you're seeing support based on educational attainment. I graduated from high school. I had some college, but didn't graduate. Bachelor's degree and graduate. Usually, we see relatively higher levels of support from higher levels of educational attainment. And here you're looking at support based on renter versus homeowner. 90% of the time we see somewhat higher support from renters because they don't quite connect the dots between referendum and higher taxes because they don't pay property taxes as a homeowner would. After going through that part of the survey, we got to the point where we tested 3 potential tax increases if the district decides to request an increase in the operating levy. Those were provided to people both in terms of monthly amounts and annual amounts, and they also were done in random order. So some people heard the third one first, and some people heard the second one first, and they were done in random order also to avoid having people sense that you were taking them up the ladder or down the ladder and having that affect how they responded. In your particular case, we tested 156, $216, and $276 on an average priced home of approximately $275,000. Note that those are $60 apart from low to high, but they were, as I mentioned, presented in random order. And if someone heard the highest one first and they said yes, they didn't hear the lowest one and the middle one because there was no need to. And people were told both the monthly and the annual amount. And this is what that looked like. So at $156, you divide that by 12, and you could see what was tested in the survey, the 216 and the 276. Now, as you might imagine, I've done more than 500 school surveys over the years. That line always goes in that direction. In terms
We
of...
didn't buck the trend on that one?
No.
I would have liked to have seen that.
So the question is not, does it go in that direction, but how much and how fast, and do you have some areas that you're, above water? And in your particular case, you do. This slide is taking the previous slide back to this one and saying, let's look at what people said who were very active voters. So they're in the blue, and the ones that are kind of in the middle are in the red, and the ones that aren't as active in that third color. Generally speaking, as you look at this, the biggest difference in all three tax impacts was about 7%. We normally probably would see a little larger differences, so it's relatively flat. Those lines aren't quite on top of each other, but they're pretty close to being on top of each other. In this particular slide, the lines on the graph are the 350 people we talked to. The circle graph upper right is the actual breakdown of all registered voters in Columbia Heights. The next section of the survey read some statements about funding challenges facing the district. And again, people heard the statement and then were asked if knowing that made them much more likely, somewhat more likely, somewhat less likely, or much less likely to be supportive. There are 4 statements you can see here. The first one is talking about your current tax impact and how you compare to other districts in the area. The second one is talking about that state education funding has not kept up with inflation over time. Third one is talking about that your current operating levy is roughly $400 per student less than the metro average. And the last one mentions that the district's low operating levy results in less revenue available per student to meet classroom needs. And here's how folks responded to those 4 statements. You're still seeing those numbers in the 70s, as you've seen many of the other slides. Remember that 77 is adding the blue and the orange together, and the 14 is the percentage of people responding negatively, and over on the right is no difference. Over the years, we oftentimes have used Phi Delta Kappa question that they do in their annual survey also every year. You're the teacher for the day, give your school district a grade, A, B, C, D, or F. And here's how folks responded to that. 70% giving the district a grade of A or B. Now, I didn't mention this before, but this is a good slide to mention it. The percentage of interviews that were done with parents was 15.7%. So non-parents, roughly 84%. So of that, the 350 people we interviewed, about 84% of them were non-parents. So that puts this in some context with a very positive response. We compare your results on this to a prior survey done by Phi Delta Kappa. In this case, a survey in 2022. So what you're seeing here is in blue is the survey that we just did. In the orange, it's the 2022 survey. And the Phi Delta Kappa survey, which is a national survey, asking exactly the same question in the green. And so as you can see, the percentage that are giving A's improved quite a bit since last time. And overall, the ratio of positive responses to negative is very, very good. After they gave the grade A, B, C, D, or F, they were asked what was the basis or what was the reason for that grade. And here's the results of that. Now, interestingly, the financial management is in the blue, the leadership and management is in the orange, and the academics is in the green. So you can see that the three reasons that were offered by people all are things that are within your control and that you're being given credit for. So this was a positive response to that question. Participants were also asked to give letter grades to the district's financial management and its buildings and grounds. So this is the financial management. Again, the ratio of the most positive grades to the most negative is very good. No school district that I've worked with over time, with the exception of one, ever had these grades higher than the overall grades. So the fact that they drop off a little bit compared to the slide I just did with you is absolutely normal. And this is the management of facilities and grounds, which also was very positive and a very good ratio of high to low. Participants were also asked to react to three statements, and you can see these as I'm talking. Our schools are a critical part of our community, and I would support a property tax increase to keep them strong. I am proud of the Columbia Heights Public Schools, would recommend them to others, and I trust the school district to do what's best for kids. And again, we were testing to see what percentage of people agreed with those three statements. And these are very strong responses to all three. In terms of community perceptions, the district was measured at 89% trust compared to 74% in a 2022 survey. The pride was at 86%, which is 24% higher. And support for a tax increase to keep schools strong was at 84%, 5 points higher than in 2022. Participants were also asked to react to a statement, and you've done this multiple times over the years. I would never vote for a tax increase, no matter what the amount or how the money would be used. And what we're looking for here, as we look at the results, is what percentage of people agreed with that. And remember, the statement was, I would never vote for any tax increase for any reason in any amount. In your particular case, you've got 16% agreeing with that. You might have noticed some of the responses, the negative responses tended to be in the 17 to 20 range in a lot of other slides. So that's this kind of core group again that is not as supportive. But 16% is a good response. Most of our clients end up between 15 and 20% agreeing with that statement. So you're on the low end of the normal range. Tax climate was better than previous surveys. Again, the blue is the most recent survey, and you see the 2023 and 2022 surveys in the orange and green. The last section of the survey focused on communications in terms of where people got information about the district. Initially, they chose between printed materials, word of mouth, and electronic sources. So as it relates to that general response, you can see electronic media at 48 and printed sources at 26, word of mouth at 24%. For those who said print was how they got their information, the community newspaper and the district mailings were the two areas that were focused on as their source of information. Again, if you add those up, you're 80% roughly of people relying on the district for their information, which is what you want. Word of mouth, for those who said I get my information word of mouth, friends and family and teachers and staff in combination were almost all of the specific responses for how people got their information. And for those who said electronic sources, the district website and the district social media and the district email newsletter. Again, notice I said district, district, district. So all three of them were coming from the district, which is a good thing. Participants were asked a follow-up question about what source they preferred for future information about the district. And the interviewers were offered 8 options. And as you can see, the top 3 were materials mailed to my home, the district website, and emails. So again, all 3 are, the source is the school district, and it's a very positive response. In terms of a summary of key findings for a potential increase in the operating levy, initially the support level was at 70.9%. After people got those 7 pieces of information, it bumped up to 79, and you can see how that compared to 2 earlier surveys. Information about the proposal increased support by 8.4%, which was statistically significant. Positive impacts ranged from 74 to 88%. Negatives ranged from 7 to 18% of that 350. The greatest positive impacts were seen from safety and security, improvements in special education services, and relatively smaller positive impacts from STEM, career and technical education, and mental health support. Now, it says relatively smaller there because those were still, mostly at 70% or higher, which is strong. Demographically, your most likely yes voter, based on this survey, is under 35 years old, in households making under $25,000 per year, and parents. And lowest support from non-parents, voters over 55, and households making more than 150 annually. At the time of the data collection, overall support levels rise above that margin of error at approximately $200 per year. In terms of the weighted turnout, and that when we talk about weighted turnout, we're talking about is this a very active voter, an average voter, or a less active? It still holds at about 200. That's because that line graph, remember, where they're almost all on top of each other? So there wasn't any group that moved that number. You can see how that compared to surveys in 2023 and 2022. Undecided voters were very low. 16% said they would not support any tax increase for any reason in any amount. And you have the comparative percentages from 2 earlier surveys. Responses to statements about budget gaps and funding averages Again, you're in that 70% plus responding positively, and the negative reactions still down in that 14 to 18% range. Responses at the time the survey was done suggest that something around $200 per year for an average homeowner would be feasible. That doesn't mean that later on you might not bump that down just slightly or let it grow a little bit. And that depends on a lot of factors that are going to develop over the next year in terms of the economy and economic conditions, campaign efforts, all leading to that possible future referendum. And that is it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a lot of information to digest. I appreciate it. Does anybody
is.
have any questions? Jessica?
Thank you very much for being here. It is a lot of information. I am really glad that we got this ahead of time in board book so we could spend some time with the data and think about this as you're sort of like aligning your comments with what we see. So I do appreciate that. I know we'll have more discussion about this. This is largely about support for a potential operating levy. But I was really struck by the questions around gauging pride in the district, or pride in our schools and trust in the district. That high level of really positive support for those two statements is something I think that we really should reflect on and celebrate, especially when we look at how the responses to those statements have changed over time. I think that that's a real testament to what's being done in terms of communication and outreach in the community, our new strategic plan, thinking about how we continue to do more to build that trust and to celebrate the pride that our community has. I mean, having that, aside from the financial support, having that level of support and trust in our district is something to be really, really excited about. So I just wanted to comment on that. I did have a question though about, I mean, you kind of talked about what you've seen in other districts, and I'm wondering about the trajectory of the grades that folks give schools, or around the trajectory of those questions around trust and pride, if you've seen sort of that similar pattern in other districts that you've looked at recently.
I don't recall another survey that I've been involved with recently that had positive changes, as large as some of the ones that were referenced in this summary. So that's a little unusual. You obviously want to move it in that direction. But I talked a little bit about what it meant for something to be statistically significant. More commonly, the changes that we see are not statistically significant. So they're smaller, and when they're closer, if you had 70% last time and now you've got 74% this time, that 74% might be 69.
Sure.
And the 70 might be 74. So you have that swing with that margin of error, but you did have a number of data points that were larger than that and pretty much all moving in a positive direction. That doesn't guarantee that, if we do a short tracking survey, 6 or 8 months from now, that things might change in the other direction. But all you can do is internalize and learn and work with the data that you have at the time.
Thank you. And then I do have one more question, if that's okay. And it is a math question, and I will preface this by saying that I went to law school in part, so I never had to take another math class or a statistics course, so my question might not even make sense, but I'm going to try. So we talked about 79% of respondents with informed support. And then there's the other part of the survey where we ask people for their general tax aversion. And so we had 16% of people who said that they would never vote for a tax increase. And so I'm trying to look at those two pieces together and think like 79% informed support for an operating levy, 16% who say, I'll never vote for a tax increase. So that is 95%. That leaves 5% of people who potentially in some universe would vote for some tax increase, but were not moved into support for the statements that we looked at. Is that a misreading?
They're undecided, unsure, don't know,
Okay.
any combination of those.
And I guess what I'm wondering is it okay for me to look at those things together? Is that a misreading of the data? Would there be somebody who would say, oh yeah, after hearing these statements, I'm supportive, but no, I would never vote for a tax increase?
Potentially, the answer is yes to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's all.
Thank you. And Julie?
On slide 36, you talk about reason for the grade, but the slides prior, I didn't recognize whether it was reasons for the AB grade or reasons for the DF grade.
Any grade, whatever grade they would have given.
Okay, because that's a confusing, never mind then, because I don't see how that's relevant. I'm just looking at it going, I wanted to know why somebody gave us an A or somebody gave us an F, not combined. So that's kind of,
You can dig into the data and get that information. It's not in the PowerPoint. Yep.
okay.
All right, any more questions? Okay, I think that this is absolutely amazing. I love to see it, especially the increase in trust. We try very hard to be transparent, and it looks like all those efforts are paying off, because the more people feel comfortable and trusting in our schools, the easier it is for us to create a good environment for our students to learn and to thrive. So I have a lot of gratitude for our administration, all of our wonderful teaching staff, and our community for investing in the school. So just give me a moment here to grandstand a little bit. I'm very proud of these. Thank you.
Yep.
So I don't have any questions.
Vice Chair Granville, Vice Chair Palmer, it's also a testament to our school board and the work you all do.
Oh, we're just high level. We just make you look good. Yes.
I'm really excited by these numbers. I think it's really relevant that we've grown in a positive way, and I just, I think that's, attributed to our leadership and, the school leadership here, and it's exciting to see that there's more engagement. It seems like there's more people aware of us and what we're doing here, which I love. I did notice that another slide that says, the people that make 25,000 or less, they don't even pay taxes. So, in essence, they're kind of like, they have an opinion about everybody else paying more than them. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of again, a moot group that just, I don't know how many people were in that group, but it seems like they don't even pay taxes, they just want the rest of us to. So I would be concerned about, that group of people in the survey. Just kind of thinking through it, off the top of my head here, I might want to pull that group out and then see what that remainder looks like. But I am excited that we're seeing positive growth at the school and seeing people with positive attitudes towards our school.
Well, if there are follow-up questions, run them through your superintendent, and I'll be happy to respond. And thanks for the opportunity to work with you again, and good luck with your ongoing planning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for your
Thank you for
hard work.
joining us. Good to see you again. I think I might have been through most of your 7, too. So, all All right, next up, we have our Strategic Plan 2030 Early Childhood Program, and welcoming Kristen Stunkel, Sarah Godfrey, and Carissa Oren?
Yeah.
Okay, our Early Childhood Coordinator. Thank you. What you got for us?
Vice Chair Palmer, members of the board, Superintendent Stenvik. I'm here this evening with Director Godfrey and Coordinator Oren and myself to present a continuation of the Vision 2030 strategic plan presentations. This evening, we'll be focusing on our early childhood programs. So, of course, our mission, creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner, all belong and all succeed. All of our core values you will hear represented this evening: community, excellence, collaboration, integrity, respect, courage, and innovation. And all of these are aligned with the school board's equity statement. This evening's presentation is informational only. There are no governance questions. And with that, I'll pass it on to the next.
Thank you. So this is our new strategic plan, as Director Stunkel just stated, with 29 indicators that we previewed recently. And tonight we will review some of those indicators as they relate to early childhood programming. So early childhood includes a lot of different things in our district. We have a lot of very robust programming. This includes screenings and evaluations, our ECFE, so our family education programming, our pre-K3 programming, our pre-K4 programming, our site-based programming, where both general education and special education students are served. We have site-based programming that's specific to special education. We have home visits for both students with and without IEPs. We also support curriculum, instruction, and assessment for all of these wonderful students. And we have so much fun with our littlest learners. So here are some pictures of our students. When I see this picture, I think of joy. My personal favorite is seeing them out in the garden with their families and their teachers and playing with each other. It's just great, and we've seen this programming grow and grow over the years that I've been in Columbia Heights.
So when we're looking at the Vision 2030 strategic plan, we have those categories of all belong, all succeed, and worlds of opportunities for all learners. And so when we're looking at last year, we're kind of reflecting on some of the peaks of progress in all of those categories. This slide shows an example of families having access to learning opportunities that support their role as essential educational partners. So you'll notice the opportunities that were provided throughout the year last year through classes, one-to-one visits, or conferences, and those were completed both in our conferences were both for our general education students as well as our special ed students. Also, our early childhood birth to 2 team, sometimes called early intervention, also does weekly or bi-weekly, or as the student and family needs, home visits. So on average, it ends up being about weekly or every other week. When we're looking at some of the data from our pre-K4's classrooms from last year, you'll see this is the fall data from 2024-2025. One thing to note is our cognitive domain in this TS Gold, which is our assessment tool. We don't gather all of the components of that domain, and so sometimes that data appears skewed, so just take that with a grain of salt. And this is our fall data, and so the dark kind of navy color is an emerging score for our students, and then the green is accomplished. And then on the next slide, you can see the spring data, where we have moved now to many of our pre-K4 students really achieving what TS Gold calls kindergarten readiness, but really what we see as growth from the fall to the spring for our pre-K4's classes. I will also note in pre-K 4s, we use voluntary pre-K guidelines as far as our curriculum and assessment tool. In addition to the data that we can see in a graph or from our assessment tools, our teachers and our licensed staff meet regularly in their professional learning communities, and that really helps our teaching staff be responsive to what the students are doing in the classroom, what the data is showing them, and then be able to inform their instruction. So what I have really seen in the past couple years is the collaboration of early childhood general education and early childhood special education. Last year, we were able to combine some of those PLC groups so that we can, a lot of them share students, and now we were sharing professional learning communities to really assess and meet the needs of all of our learners. When we're looking at the creating worlds of opportunity for our students, we were looking at 3B and 3C. So when we're looking at 3B, Columbia Heights will provide and promote two-way communication. One thing to note in that area was that we did have a parental survey, and it was unanimous that our parents really felt like the Family Center and early childhood programmings did a really great job of communicating. A lot of our teams use Seesaw. We also have the benefit of often the parent is here, either attending class with the child or doing drop-off and pickup, and so there's a natural opportunity for us to have that two-way communication. Also, families are able to engage in a lot of different opportunities. We were able to see our parent group become a PTO this past year, so that was really exciting as well. And we have included all of our Family Center programmings in that community, and so parents really do have a way to engage in a lot of different aspects and what goes on in our Family Center programming. As we look towards this year, this school year, we're continuing to use our data to inform instruction. As I mentioned, pre-K 3 and pre-K 4 use TS Gold, which is Teaching Strategies Gold. Our special ed team uses tools like TS Gold or the help checklists to help inform progress and collect student data. And we also use our early childhood screening. In addition, we have a committee at the Family Center focused on student intervention and our multi-tiered systems of support. We're really trying to align that with the rest of our district systems so that we can be responsive to student need right away. And then in our areas of curriculum, we have really taken a broader look at our scope and sequence all the way from birth up until entrance into kindergarten, and are trying to ensure educational equity by making sure we're using district-approved curriculum and making sure that our staff have appropriate PD and time in their, professional development, in their, not only in the district-provided days, but the building and staff meeting opportunities, and then as well within their PLC group. And these last two slides just show what our teams have come up with for school year 25-26 as far as our goals. You'll notice in reading through each program-specific goal that the focus is student growth. And we really wanted to be clear that we had some measurable outcomes and ways of getting from the beginning of the school year to mid-year and then to the end. These are part of our overall building goals that we discuss with the rest of our district teams at teaching and learning leadership meetings, and they also are embedded in all of our PLC work on a regular basis. So I'll let you read through those. Sorry. I really appreciate, too, the fact that we do collaborate within those PLCs, and so a lot of them overlap some of the things that we're working on as our students overlap in our programming, and we are able to collaborate throughout the year with different PLC groups where the need arises. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I have a question. So when you go from TS Gold Pre-K for spring, and then you go to the fall and you see that shift, it's exciting, first of all. How is that, is that Gold Pre-K, is that a program or something? How do you, is it a test they take in the spring and then in the fall? Or vice versa, you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah, that's a great question. Teaching Strategies Gold, otherwise known as TS Gold, is the assessment tool that we use alongside Creative Curriculum. It is one of the tools that is approved for our voluntary pre-K, the money that we get to support our pre-K 4 students, and the statewide program that is supporting our pre-K 4 students. TS Gold is essentially across all domains. It's a checklist, it's an observational tool that uses child development and kind of a rubric based on each indicator. So it aligns with the Minnesota State Standards for Early Childhood Indicators of Progress. So the data is gathered in a lot of ways, but each student, I believe there's 38 objectives that our teachers will essentially help to collect data for each student.
And they're collecting that 3 times.
Yep, and there's 3 checkpoints each time, each year. So that's collected fall, winter, spring.
So is there a lot of subjectivity in the process, or is there a lot of objectivity? Because you,
Well, there's a rubric, but essentially it is based on observational data.
okay,
And the observations can be during their large groups, during their small groups. They can be collected really at any time of their instructional period.
So they're collecting evidence and then charting that, and then tracking that and discussing it as PLCs. So you might say, oh, wow, Carissa, your class is doing really well in this area, and my class isn't doing as well. What are you doing? So that they can really learn from each other, the best practices, so that as a whole program, they are advancing and supporting our students.
And when you look at the TS Gold rubrics, it goes all the way from birth all the way up to actually grade 3, so age 8. And there are ranges of development. So we have most of our pre-K 4 students, by the end of their pre-K 4 year, we're expecting them to be in what's called the blue color band. So there are some, indicators based on child development and what we would expect students to learn throughout their year.
thank you.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Does anybody else have any other questions?
If I might just say how grateful, if I can speak for Director Godfrey too, how grateful we are that we have Carissa as our early childhood coordinator. The fact that she oversees both the ECSE and the early childhood, when she talks about the collaboration between them, a lot of that is due to her leadership, and also the fact that she has done all of the positions within that she now supervises, basically. She has the credibility with the teachers. The teachers know that she knows what it looks like on the ground, but she also has her director's license as a special ed director and your principal license. And so she's the whole package, and I just really want to sing her praises.
Thank you.
Because I know that probably makes you uncomfortable. But it's just been a game changer. So I just really want the school board to understand, when we talk about you in that last presentation, you heard about the power of leadership. This is also another example of the power of leadership and collaboration. When the teaching staff, the assistants, when everybody is acknowledged for the role that they play in the organization, and you have the right people in the right positions where we value all of the people and we all work together collaboratively. And so thank you for your leadership.
Well, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. This is amazing, Jessica.
Thank you for being here. I didn't have a question. I just wanted to note that in addition to, assessment and collaboration and leadership, I think there's a great deal of creativity, especially in terms of family engagement that's going on in all of our early childhood programs. And as a parent who's had great experiences in the early childhood program here. I'm just really excited to see that grow. I'd just offer to the other board members, if you haven't looked at the programming that early childhood is offering year to year, they're really trying some pretty innovative things. So in addition to a lot of the separating, non-separating, age-based, mixed-age classes this year, there's drop-in sessions, both in the mornings. There's an afternoon session that I think starts at 4:30. I was able to participate with my son in a nature-based course last year. I know they're doing the nature-based early childhood program again this fall, which is great to see. And then just seeing again how the parent group has really grown over the last couple of years and really come into their own. And I was able to attend the fundraiser that they had recently, and seeing just this whole family center packed with people was just, I don't know, very invigorating to see. So I just wanted to note that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any? Okay, I actually do have a question here. So the PLCs, you're doing the collaboration between just the early childhood and then the special education early childhood as well. And that's been just a couple of years now, right?
Yeah, so when I took the role as coordinator and we kind of combined and added early childhood special ed to this role, our team was really asking for more time to collaborate. So that we've coexisted in buildings, we've done a lot of work together already naturally, and we wanted to kind of formalize that process and give our teachers time and our related service providers. We do have speech therapists and occupational therapists and physical therapists that work with our students too. And the PLC felt like the best time to have those really meaningful conversations, as many of them share students across programs. And so we could work on similar goals based on student need, classroom setup, just shared resources. And so last year, they really found that was beneficial. They learned a lot about each other's programming, and then also the positive impact that has on students and families when you can collaborate together.
Well, I think this is absolutely wonderful. Plus, I'm also on 916, the special education district too. And I've been, the innovations that happen, on just finding yet another way to support students with needs. And every student has needs. So being able to have maybe that best practices kind of, cross-pollinization across, and plus, we really want to be more inclusive. So I'm really happy to see that we're starting very, very young, and we're collaborating, and I'd love, I think that's wonderful. So thank you for everything.
Yes.
Okay, everything, and all the hats you've worn over the years. So
I'm very proud to teach here, to lead here, and I'm very honored to be with you today. So.
Thank you.
One more question.
Yeah.
I noticed that cognitive tends to be the lagging.
Yeah.
Could you explain just the terminology cognitive and what the children are expected to kind of move through that? Because you can see, although we've improved, it's kind of lagging.
Yes.
But it might be for the four-year-old, I don't know.
Well, so that is that's a part of TS Gold where I was mentioning earlier, that section of our data collection, VPK, the voluntary pre-K requirements, is what we follow, which follows the early childhood indicators of progress. So TS Gold has a more comprehensive, in that domain, the cognitive domain, there are more opportunities to observe student growth. We don't collect all of those, so the statistical pieces that go into making a composite score don't fully reflect exactly how students have grown. That being said, some of the pieces of the cognitive domain have a lot to do with problem solving, being able to hear directions and do something as a response. So there's it's problem solving and thinking skills. So it incorporates a lot of different things. In order to hear a direction and follow a direction, you also have to understand language. You have to be tuning in. So that all of those developmental pieces are related. Cognitive focuses on the thinking processes and the problem solving.
That's a perfect
yeah.
answer, thank you.
Yeah.
I was just kind of wondering why
Yeah.
that one was
Yeah.
kind of different.
And the statistical part of it, we're still trying to figure out a good way to really represent that growth in a chart that fits nicely onto a slide.
Well,
Because it's that
explanation
domain
helps.
is, yeah, a
And
little.
it's in English.
And it's all in English.
It's all in
so,
English.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, well, wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay, next up is our, I better get my reading glasses here. Our first reading for our policies. We have, first reading for the policies. We have policy for 401, equal employment, 403, discipline, suspension, and dismissal of school district employees, 404, employee background checks, 406, public and private personal data, 408, subpoena of a school district employee, 422, policies incorporated by reference, and 722, public data request. This is up for a first reading. You can certainly get those look at those on our website. And if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to, I believe our board chair is the chair of our policy committee or the superintendent. Okay. Next up will be our fall seasonal activities and athletics update, and Mr. Henderson, our activities director, is going to do a presentation. Thank you.
All right, let me get my PowerPoint up here. Oh. It's this one. There we are. All right. Vice Chair Palmer, Superintendent Stenvik, and members of the board, thanks for having me. Our mission in Columbia Heights, it's not in front of me this time, so it's a little bit off, so I might be looking at the computer, but it's creating worlds of opportunity for each and every learner. All belong, all succeed. I've got two short presentations for you. One is informational, and one will require action from the board, and all will implement or at least touch on some of our core values. In the activities department, we have continued our focus just on these four bullet points. We highly value our community, creating a positive community, a positive culture. We want to be as competitive as possible in our competitive activities, and then we want to support each other, their well-being and their health. And, you know, we also talk about supporting our coaches and our advisors, because they do so much for our kids. So that always comes up in our coaches meetings too. Before I highlight fall, I just wanted to highlight summer a little bit, because we were pretty excited. And with our summer programming, we do that with Community Ed. So we partner with them, and we just saw numbers kind of jump off the page. And so, not in everything, but if you take a look at the data up here in our participation numbers, it was pretty exciting to see. We offered a handful of new things, and we had some really high numbers in some areas too. So just excited to share that with you, and excited that our kids and our coaches and our activities advisors were engaged throughout the summer too. As we get to fall, I always like to share just our participation numbers, kind of how we're doing. And we broke them down. You asked for that, I believe, a couple of times ago, where we kind of break them down between CA and high school. I can't remember if we did that in the fall of last year or not, but I just put the total number for fall of '24 and fall of '23, just for you to get a better idea of kind of where we're at, and relatively steady. We got some ups and downs in some activities and areas. Our musical is underway, but we don't have all of our crew, et cetera, that are working, so we didn't report on some of those numbers, but take just a quick moment to digest some of those participation numbers. All right. And then moving on, I'll just highlight a handful of things here this fall. Not always, but usually, the highlight of fall is homecoming week, and this year was like kind of no other that I've been a part of. It was phenomenal. It was totally exhausting, but it was really, really fun. And during our homecoming weeks, we try to highlight whatever activities might be in session during the homecoming week. And, you know, traditionally it's probably been football that's really, really highlighted, but we try to highlight every single sport, every single activity that might be happening at that time. And I think we do a good job of doing that. And I would say our student participation for those that were in activities or just coming to an activity was just really high this year. And the Heights pride that I saw throughout that entire week was exceptional and just higher than I've seen here before. And so that's really exciting. It's a testament, I think, to our coaches. I think it's a testament to what we're doing at the high school. I think our principal has brought a level of pride and just excitement too. And obviously to our community and to our kids. And so that was really exciting. I would say the Highlander Tour, I think I saw a handful of you on that. It was the best one I've been a part of, and I think I've been a part of 9 now. And well, probably more than that, because I was at CA for many of those too. So working on 15, 16 of them, at least a chunk of them. And there's a bus driver now, I think this might be his 3rd year, that he chooses this opportunity because he just says it's so neat, so unique, and loves to be a part of it and see it. And so you'll hopefully see, assuming my slideshow works, in a couple minutes, a couple of pictures from there. So this was really exciting, and we estimate at the homecoming football game that we had over 500 high school students there, which I haven't seen. Working on close to half of our student population from the high school, and more families and people within those stands than I've seen. And so just taking advantage, whether they were there to watch football or not, like they were there as a community, and it was really exciting. And I would say throughout our week, we had some really high participation at all of our events, so that was fun. We continue to offer opportunities for our leaders to grow. We've had a Tri-Metro Fall Leadership Conference. Next week, we have another one for the winter for our conference. We are taking kids together in partnership from the Minnesota State High School League. That will be a little bit later here before winter break. And then finally, we'll host our own here with Positive Coaching Alliance. I believe that one's on November 19th. So a lot of more opportunities coming up just to learn and grow as leaders of all activities that we offer, specifically here at the high school. Just a couple people, or one person that I want to shout out. We had Amjad Mohammed. He's a senior from our boys soccer team. I believe he's gone all the way through Heights with us too, and he was selected to the 2nd team All-State for boys soccer, so exciting for him. Our own stadium right past the building here was highlighted in the Star Tribune as one of the top 10 stadiums in the state of Minnesota, so that was really exciting. I don't know if you follow our Instagram, any post that pretty much said top 10, I was super excited about that because it's an amazing, amazing view. And just a great atmosphere to see any sort of game that's out there. And then we've got Newsies coming up here in early December for our high school musical, so please come check that out. And then wrapping up the highlight here, all of our CA sports for fall have ended. We've started into the winter. We still do have girls swim and dive from the high school that has sections next week. But yeah, it's been a quick, crazy fall, good. And we're already kicking off and into the winter, which is pretty exciting. So like I do, I like to, let's see if this works. I did pull it up beforehand, but I think somebody got to the computer again. Let's see if it's up. If it's not, we won't watch it. But I think you all have access to it.
It kicked me out.
I can give you all access to it. No, let's see. Oh, here we go. Let's see if it's got music to it. I don't know.
Yes.
All right, well, we'll take just a quick minute to watch.
There's that stadium.
You'll see some more, too. That one was from, I think, North Park, coming from the tour. That's Valley View. CA was so loud. Something so unique to Heights too, so it's pretty neat that we do the fireworks.
Awesome.
That was it. And that wraps up the fall activities update for you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Of course.
Not a question. I always really appreciate this presentation and seeing everything our students are involved in. I especially appreciate you sharing the numbers with us. And I just wanted to note that I was kind of taken aback by the size of the cheer team when I went to the homecoming game. They were great.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't surprised when I saw these numbers because just walking up, I was like, whoa, look at our cheer team. So congratulations to them and all of our students.
Yeah, they've been great, and we kind of did another round of joining tryouts for winter now, and so there's even more than that.
I actually have a question here. I was looking at slide, oh gosh, I can't even tell. The one with, that one, there, right there. Under 2023, it says math team TBD. Is that a typo there? Or?
Yeah, maybe that is.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say,
my-
it's been a couple of years. We probably could have figured it out by now.
That's fair. My assumption, and I don't have the data right in front of me,
Okay,
but probably
that's-
somewhere in that ballpark of 8 to 12-ish, somewhere
Yeah, I
in
was gonna
there.
say, it
Yep.
usually stays pretty,
Fair enough.
usually stays pretty slim.
Good
as-
catch.
See, a member of the math team could calculate it.
Perhaps.
I think actually this year, we're hosting the first math meet this year, and we might be upwards of 16, 17 now, so
Oh, that's wonderful.
exciting for that, yeah. Yep.
That's
So that
wonderful.
13 number is wrong too.
Okay, well, it's
Well, we
always.
keep adding, so.
It's definitely a growing program. So, wonderful, thank you. All right, now we're up for some business stuff on our action items.
Right.
So our first action item is about the MSHSL Foundation Grant Form A.
Yeah, and I'll kind of give you an overview. Again, thank you for having me. But the Minnesota State High School Foundation was created in 2007, and its purpose is to support youth participation in athletics and fine arts. There's two grants, Form A and Form B. It is my recommendation that we pass both resolutions and that we apply for both grants. We've done so in the past, and I've presented similar things to you all, I think everyone in this room actually, in past years. And so the two grants are, the first is Form A. It's just a general grant that's given every single year by the foundation to help support all Minnesota State High School League athletics and activities. And this can be used for several things: uniforms, equipment, transportation. Form A is a little bit different. That grant is just split annually amongst all the schools that apply, that qualify for it. And so Form B, I'll just give you information and then we can maybe talk about the resolutions, is also available to apply for. This one is for more specific things, specifically leadership initiatives and health and safety. You can use it in some ways in transportation, although we have not. In the past, this one's been capped at 5,000, and I was looking over the documentation. I don't see anything in there right now that limits us to 5,000, but in the past it was capped at that. So for these Form B things that items that we would spend money on, that would roughly be around $7,000 is what we've estimated. We've usually gone over in our ask of $5,000, and they have in past years given us both grants. So we've taken coaches to the Women's Coaching Symposium that is at the University of Minnesota. We'd like to get one more AED for one of our campuses, middle school or high school. We use this funding for impact concussion training that our trainer does. And then we've had a partnership with the Positive Coaching Alliance, and that's been great. And that's with our student leaders that are coming up here in less than a month. And then we're looking at exploring some leadership opportunities at Base Camp right south of Minneapolis for some high ropes course and some just leadership training and just community building amongst our leaders too. So that's what we would use Form A and Form B for. That's a little bit of information about them. Again, I do recommend that we pass both the resolutions and apply for both grants. Thank you.
I'm good? Okay.
I think we have to do a motion first. Yeah, hold on a second. Yes, I was trying to go with the, yeah. Okay, that's right. We're on to action items.
Okay,
Yes.
sorry about that.
Okay, no, that's okay. I jumped to two. I just want to make sure that I'm messing up at least a couple of times.
the
So when Mary comes back, she'll say, I know you guys missed me. And
We're going to start
Okay,
with the Form
okay.
A,
So the first, so I have to read the resolution first, correct? Yes. Okay, so here is the resolution for Form A. Resolution of Governing Board supporting Form A application to Minnesota State High School League Foundation. Whereas the Minnesota State High School League Foundation was formed to provide support for Minnesota's high school youth to participate in athletics and fine arts. Whereas the Governing Board of Columbia Heights Public Schools recognize the value of student participation in extracurricular activities, and whereas the MSHSL Foundation is offering grants and funding to assist schools in recognizing, promoting, and funding extracurricular participation by high school students in athletic and fine arts programs. Therefore, be it resolved that the Governing Board of Columbia Heights Public Schools supports the school's application to the Minnesota State High School League Foundation for a Form A grant to offset student activities fees. Can I get a motion?
Move it.
Michelle? Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, yeah, I didn't hear you, I apologize.
No, it might be me.
Okay.
It might be me.
Okay, now I believe we can have some
Discussion.
discussion, Julie.
Was that one just for Form A?
It's just for Form A, those are two separate.
I do not have any questions on Form A.
Okay. So if you don't have any questions, this is a resolution, so we will need a call vote.
Yeah. Maderas,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
Petway, aye. Hool.
Aye.
Okay, motion has passed. Thank you. All right, next up is, we're just going to go right to Form B, the next resolution here as well. Okay, so whereas the Minnesota State High School League Foundation was formed to provide support for Minnesota high school youth to participate in athletic and fine arts. Whereas the Governing Board of Columbia Heights Public School recognizes the value of student participation in extracurricular activities, and whereas the MSHSL Foundation is offering grants and funding to assist schools to provide seminars, training, opportunities, or supports for specific school functions for students, faculty members, officials, and others who are involved in athletic and fine arts programs. Therefore, be it resolved that the Governing Board of Columbia Heights Public Schools supports the school's application to the Minnesota State High School League Foundation for a Form B grant. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Julie. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jessica. All right. Any questions now?
I have a question. So for Form B, we have specifics that we're asking for. Is there a priority on that list, or is it in that priority? Is the list that you've got on the list there, is that prioritized?
I would say no, probably not. And I think if the limit is $5,000, we choose to do a lot of fundraising within our own department for specific things just like this. And so I would say the base camp leadership training and ropes course is at the bottom of the list, and I guess that is at the bottom of this one. We haven't done that one before, and so that would be maybe if we didn't have funding for that, we might cut that out, and that's, yeah.
Okay. And the AED, is that going to be for Columbia Academy?
I know that that was a need that was brought up by both our trainer and our district nurse. And so that when I brought them to this, Columbia Academy is one of the spots that would benefit probably most.
And I just want to mention to the board that when I attended the MSHSL conference, this was a topic they discussed, was having more AEDs available, especially out on the field, you know, of portable. So just wanted to mention that.
The outdoor ones are really expensive, of course.
Thank you. Jessica.
Not necessarily one that we would get an outdoor one, but just having more opportunity.
Availability.
Okay, Jessica.
Thanks. I also had just a couple questions about this list, and I guess first, just to follow up on Julie's question about AEDs. So so is there currently an AED available at Columbia Academy? This would be an additional device.
Correct, yeah. And I don't have my map in front of me, but I believe it's right inside the gym. And there may be one more. We have quite a few more here available at the high school, in the pool, in the Highlander Center, right outside the office. I think right outside door 16, which is, you know, a door that our coaches use often. And then our trainer has one that she carries. So we do have quite a few more that are available up here. An outdoor one at some point would be nice to have that, you know, if somebody didn't have access to inside our building, would be able to access.
And then my other question was also about funding for those things. So I want to make sure I understand. So you're saying that the things that we're already doing on that list, that we've been doing, already cost more than the $5,000 we've been capped. So we've been subsidizing the rest of those costs through the other activities funding.
Through our own activities fundraising.
Right,
Yep.
within the district.
So not coming from district dollars, but from dollars that we fundraise at different events or.
So any funds we were to get from the grant over and above $5,000, I guess you could think about it as first going to fund the cost of those things that we've been doing. And then if you were able to expand, it would be looking at some of the leadership, or I guess reallocate some of the money you have from fundraising to be able to do that.
Yeah, to something else, correct,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you, I just wanted to make sure that I fully understood.
Yep.
Thank you. Anybody else? Just one quick comment. Thank you for filling out these applications for grants. It's an additional task and duty on your plate, and these are wonderful, wonderful things to have in the school, especially the AED. I know that a lot of businesses are looking at having something like that available, even, you know, at the school here. I would love to. Does an outdoor one cost more?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, I mean, how much more is it?
I don't have those numbers right in front of me, but when you're looking at an indoor one, it's somewhere in the $1,000 to $2,000 range. One that would stand outside and be airtight is looking at $3,000 to $4,000.
It'd be the
You
only
can't
thing on
like
the
carry
list.
them?
What? Yeah, and then there is a carry one too, and I can't remember how much that one costs though.
Okay. I just want to make sure that, you know,
Yeah.
that we're out on the football field, we have some devices available.
Well, and our coaches also know all of those. So like if they are within our programming, They should know where those things are, whether the trainer is close or not. And we provide them, during our coaches' trainings, like a specific map of where those things are.
Okay, thank you. All right, so if there aren't any further questions, this is a resolution, so if I can get a
You sure can.
vote.
Petway, aye. Hool,
Aye.
Palmer,
Aye.
haha. Maderas,
Tricked me. Aye.
Okay, motion has passed. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I appreciate your time.
All right, so the next thing up on our list is building capacity. So this is the last official item on our list today.
Have a good night.
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
And Superintendent?
Thank you, Vice Chair Palmer. This evening, I'm here seeking approval from the board to reopen kindergarten and grade 3 at Highland Elementary to open enrollment. It would be for the remainder of the 25-26 school year or until enrollment numbers increase to a level that reaches building capacity, per usual.
Right. Okay, so can I get a motion?
so moved.
Thank you, Michelle. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Julie. All right. Questions or comments?
I guess I just have one question because it's about the language of the motion. Because I noticed that when we closed open enrollment at these levels, we had similar language. And so there's the language about or until, in this case, it's the enrollment numbers increase. If we close, it's the enrollment numbers decrease. But I just want to be clear that even though that's the language, that doesn't automatically happen. That's brought to the board
That's
each
correct.
time. Okay.
Yeah, I think that possibly technically the language could allow for, but it doesn't say designated or delegated, power to the superintendent. So it is something that we bring to the board each and every time.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Michelle, did you have something?
I mean, to piggyback off of that, is that something that we could do? I'm not saying I'm asking for it, but
I could certainly inquire about that.
about like having you just be like, I call it.
The thing about closing to open enrollment in particular, and opening to open enrollment, is there are pretty significant financial implications for the district. And so, that's where I bring it to the board, because there's that governance oversight of the overall district budget. So it's how we've done it in the past. I can certainly look in to see what
It's
Terry
just a
Morrow at
curiosity.
MSBA says.
But no, I actually agree with that. I think it should be something that's a public conversation that, not that you wouldn't bring it as information to us, but I do like that there is that. But I was just gonna ask, are you noticing any trends or like we aren't losing mass amounts of students, right? In our
Compared to this time last year, we were down about 90 students, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We're not seeing those massive increases, and we have seen a decline.
Yeah, is there a reason why, or like a thing we can point to say, like, most people are leaving because of this, or?
Not at this time. I think, we do know that in our district, we have about a 30%, traditionally, we have about a 30% mobility rate. And so that's typical that we have kids coming and going. And what's different is, as students move out of the district and go elsewhere, we're not seeing that influx in like we have experienced over the last few years.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, right, and like we're recognizing that the past couple of years have been not very common, in our district over the, historically.
Correct.
And so there has been more happening.
Most Minnesota districts, school districts right now are experiencing a decline.
Gotcha.
In
So we're
enrollment.
kind of going back to the norm. And
What's currently common, I would say.
yeah, I was kind of used to the other, the other news.
Yeah, it seems like we usually tend to go a little against the rest of the area. Jessica?
I just wanted to comment around that and say that I think that, while we always want really strong enrollment and we're happy to see those numbers go up, from my perspective, it's also helpful to have some stability because we've had a lot of bouncing around of opening grade levels and closing grade levels. And so I do think, there is something to be said for getting to a place where we're right sizing and kind of know, where things are at. But we always want to encourage enrollment in our district, and having strong
Absolutely.
enrollment numbers is important, so.
Yeah, and in our district too, traditionally, open enrollment actually leads to more families moving to, I mean, usually their children enroll here, and then the families follow. So that actually happens quite a bit. I remember a survey data a while back that was showing that it's always kind of this kind of migration through Columbia Heights. So anyway, all right, are there any other, okay? All right, so I believe we can just vote on this, right? Or no, is it a resolution?
No, it's just a vote.
Oh, it's just a vote, okay. All right, so all those in favor of closing, or excuse me, reopening, sorry, kindergarten and grade 3 to open enrollment for the balance of the school year over at Highland Elementary, say aye. Aye. And opposed? I don't believe there'll be any abstentions this time. Actually, I think that would make us not vote, not an accurate vote. But anyway, okay, so motion has passed. Okay, we've made it through this, or excuse me, I've made it through this board meeting.
Did great.
Okay, do we have any board topics?
I do have a question. I wanted to know if there were any updates on that, on the film literature class, in the movie. Yeah.
Not at this time.
Okay.
I don't have any updates at this
Yeah,
time.
I got you. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, any others? No?
I'm really looking forward to going to the student rep conference tomorrow. It seems like it's going to be a great time. It's my first time going. I didn't go last year. And so I'm interested in learning, like, how we can best help our student reps. So that should be fun.
Oh, it is a lot of fun to watch them doing that collaboration
Yeah.
amongst themselves, finding out what they have, and then, of course, they're always changing their
Yeah.
exchanging numbers and stuff and forming these little, like, oh, yeah, that's happening.
And it'll
now,
be
too.
fun to watch, I guess, students who are more involved, right? Like, people always look at teenagers or new generations, oh, they're always on their phones, they're always in this. I think that this will be nice because they're more proactive teens. They're more into what's going on, and they're curious, and they want to know more. So, yeah, I look forward to it. It should be nice.
Yeah, I mean, earlier today, we were looking at some of that data from our survey and everything, and I really did forget I really should have said that probably our biggest support here and out in the community is all of our students. Our students are what's really made that. I believe that that's probably the major thing of bringing that trust back and the communication and things like that. I think it's our students that are really making all of our hard work look really good. So I should have mentioned that at the time. I mentioned everybody except for the students, and I feel bad about that. So,
Well, speaking of the survey, I think what I loved about it is that on the communication side, is that people know where to go now. They really do. It has increased, the communication hasn't necessarily probably increased, but we've increased where to go to find information, because there's more and more people that were able to find what they needed from our website, from social media. And I know we've done that, but I think there was some significant emphasis on it, and the community is obviously catching on. So I'm even getting feeds in Facebook and stuff, which I follow the school, but I'm actually really thrilled that more and more people are looking at us and having positive responses to that. And I think it's really important that we continue with that communication. Anyway.
we're going to continue having the great kids, so
Right?
you just got to keep highlighting it. All right, any others? I just coined a new phrase. Now Mary's in trouble. All right, no? Okay, all right, so can I get a motion to close our meeting? Why not?
So move.
We do that sometimes over at 9:16.
Yeah.
And a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, okay, this meeting is closed, thank you.